Well, you gotta love how much this team emotionally fucks with us. But what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another post game here on Rangers Central. And the Rangers win 4-0 over the Columbus Blue Jackets, advancing to a playoff spot for at least the time being. So, yeah, we'll talk about it. Before we do, leave a like on your way into the live stream. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live on the channel. Um, yeah, that was that was an interesting one. And I agree with some of the early comments coming in that Fox looked better today than he looked before the injury, which is why I felt, yeah, give him rest. Give him. I was okay if they put him on LTIR the rest of the season, truthfully, and just went ahead and let him rest for either if this team does get into the playoffs or if they don't, then he rests for the rest of the season, and it's no big deal. But this was one of the better performances they've played this season. It was. Now, how will this carry over? I don't know. I have no clue because this team, like I said to open this, is the most bipolar hockey team I've watched in my life. So I just got no feel one way or the other emotionally with this. And like this should have been the bare minimum going into the year, but great game from Alexi Lafreniere, who needed to play a good game. And, it wasn't just the goal, which he did get a tapping goal. He was more noticeable in this game. He's got to continue to keep that up. But again, this team's so streaky, so will he. Vinny Trocheck, I thought after the brutal first period he played, he picked it up. Will continue. Artemi Panarin played a really good game today, was willing to get to the middle of the ice, got a goal because he was willing to get to the middle of the ice and shoot the puck. Will it continue? I don't know. Even Mika Zibanejad too, especially in the first period, he was actually playing like a physical game at points too, and he was the reason that entire Lafreniere goal happened. So yeah, they got a lot. The biggest difference was they got contributions from the top guys tonight, which they've just not got at all throughout the course of the season the way that they need to in order to be a taken seriously to potentially make the postseason. By the way, Carson Soucy not in the lineup and things were better. Is that a coincidence? I think not. I thought they started this game a little rough at points in the first period. I thought they did. Second period too. I thought the game got a little too open at points. Third period though, they played a good third period. That third period was good. I got nothing bad to say there about that third period at all. But yeah, uh, what else did I not talk about? Trocheck scored 2 goals, which that play by Cooley in the neutral zone was something that we were seeing in the first half from Will Cooley. Good to see there. Drives the play in transition there. Panarin finds Trocheck, ends up in the back of the net. And then Vinny Trocheck got the empty netter as well, which Miller could have scored there, but he ended up getting the goal there. So, yeah, I thought early in the second period too, which is something that was frustrating because they just don't do it for a full 60 minutes. But I thought their neutral zone play for the first like 5 minutes of the second period was the best we've seen all season from this team. And again, the problem was it was just 5 minutes of that period. Could this be something we actually see for a full 60 minutes, please? Please? It's just infuriating. It really is infuriating because of the fact that it's just wildly inconsistent where it's like you can't get too high over some of these wins because you just don't know how tomorrow's going to go. You just don't know how the next game's going to go with this team. It's the unfortunate part with this team. But Just I'm looking for what you guys are saying in the comments here. Where was this effort all year? No clue. And will it be there tomorrow? I don't know. No clue at all. And that's the problem here is that you just do not know with this team. Schneider looks better playing with Jones. He looks better in a reduced role. He's a third pair guy. What goalie starts tomorrow? Probably Quick. They usually start him against the Western Conference teams anyway now. I feel like it will be Quick. It's tough just because there's 3 games in 4 nights, so it's hard to argue that Igor should play more, but unless they do give him the back-to-back here and then they, let Quick play against Calgary on Tuesday. That's the only other way they might, go about it. And, yeah, I know, he got killed by Edmonton last time. That's what I'm saying, like, it's they could start Igor tomorrow, but I don't remember the last time this team started Igor for a back-to-back or at least for a road home back-to-back or vice versa home road because I think for 2 straight home games he's started, but I don't know if he's started after they're coming back from the road. And listen, I'm not disagreeing with any of your guys' points at all. I agree that um you're paying the guy 11.5 million. He should be more than capable of playing a back-to-back where he didn't get too much work today. I agree. You're not going to catch me disagreeing. I'm just saying based on what this team has done in the past with Igor, I just don't know if they're going to I just don't know if they're going to do it. That's the thing. How do I feel about the Rangers being in a playoff spot this year? It was the bare minimum. Like that's why I'm not like that's why I got no emotion here right now. It's kind of like this was the bare minimum to be a playoff team. So took till game 67, but and let's see if they hold it. But this was the bare minimum. I mean, it mattered for making the playoffs, but in terms of changing anything, I mean, didn't really matter in any other regard. Like, yeah, it mattered for if they want to make the playoffs this year, but I don't know. See, I can't like Leo, I get what you're saying, but I don't like doing this because there's a reason we point to those teams as outliers. You know, like the 2012 Kings, yeah, they won the cup as the 8th seed, but that was an outlier. Like that's why we point to that year as it being so special what they did. The St. Louis Blues who in 2019 came back from last place in January and then ended up going on to win the Stanley Cup. Like it's rare that it happens. Listen, all I'll say is this if this team gets into the playoffs, and this is going to be, I'm going to say the exact same thing in the playoff preview if they get into the playoffs, which it's sad that I even have to say if. But this is what I'm going to say. I have no expectations. Go prove me wrong. That's all I could say is I have zero expectations. I expect them to lose to Washington, but prove me wrong. That's all I could say. Because that's just how it is. And that's the thing too. Like the Kings went 16-4 in 2012 in the playoffs. But yeah, that's the thing too is that, this team would have to do that's why last year stung so much is because they finally were able to close out the first round in 4 games, and even though they almost got reverse swept in round 2, they finished that one in 6 games. You need to close out the first few rounds early to give yourself a good chance because the last team to win 7 games in round 1 and then win the cup, I think, was the Kings, but they went against the team that also went 7 in the Rangers. So that's the other thing with that. Third shutout without Liquor. And first without Susie, yeah. I mean, the problem more so is the coaching staff. That's really the bigger issue here is that I also just don't know if Laviolette could get this team to the Stanley Cup Finals. And it's crazy that I'm saying that compared to what my tone was last year about the situation. But I just don't know, given the stubbornness to go away from the man-on-man system this year. I don't know if they don't have the coach, I think, to go and make that Cinderella run. The only way they can make the Cinderella run is, at least from how I view this, from just the optics of it, is one coming out of the other side of the bracket, by the way, because that side of the bracket's going to be hell. The only way, and again, this is just doing mental gymnastics, and because I'm not saying this is going to happen, but the only way is if teams take them so lightly, which I don't think will happen because when you are one of the top teams, it's a different level of locked in. But that's like the only way is if teams are really taking the Rangers that lightly to where they could somehow get their way through. But again, I don't see it. But go ahead and surprise me. Go ahead and surprise me. Because I don't want people to forget about like certain games that just happen. Like that's the thing here. Is that solid good cool win tonight, but like what matters is also what we've seen in the other 66 games here. So I agree with that one too. Is that and I'm not disagreeing. You know that I agree with you, Matt. I'm just walking through the one hypothetical way where it could happen. And if the reason why you can make a Cinderella run is because of the fact that you other teams might take you lightly, that's not really the best position to be in. No, yeah, I get you, Matt, on that one. And sure, you could think of it this way, but what the problem is that we've seen for 66 other games that they're notorious for playing poor defensively. They blow leads and they struggle at 5-on-5. So I get what you're saying, and sure, that should be the tone in the dressing room. That should be the tone if this team gets into the playoffs. That should be the tone from in the room and the mentality that what happened in the past does not matter. Find a way to get it done and move forward. 100%. But the problem is that we've seen it and we see the personnel on the ice. We've seen the personnel on the ice for more games of them looking poor compared to stuff like this. That's the problem. And that's the thing. Like they're even just previous playoff teams or playoff pushes, if you will. The mental makeup of this group heavily, heavily in question. They quit in December. They completely quit in December. That's something I just can't ignore. And the fact that they quit in December, it has to be a concern going into the playoffs. It just has to be a concern that they quit on us. And who's to say they won't fold when the game gets tighter in the playoffs? Yeah, but is like I get this B Rye, but is the personnel so much better than what they've had in the previous two playoff runs? It's you could argue it's better, a lot of lateral, but is it good enough to where it's that? I don't know. But again, it really the problem is forget about that forget about the personnel there too. Just again, how is that dressing room going to handle it when things get tighter? Suns are 4 points away from Toronto and Tampa. That's interesting because they beat Toronto then, huh? That's insane. It's so dumb the NHL playoff format. Like, imagine winning your division, the Florida Panthers, that is. Imagine winning your division and your first round draw is potentially Tampa or Toronto. Listen, for the fans though, I want the Battle of Ontario and the Battle of Florida, but it's just so dumb. Like, if Ottawa's truly that good, then Florida should be getting New Jersey in round one. But this is the format that we have, unfortunately, where you win your division. Nope. No reward. Or actually, no, they would match up against New Jersey in a 1 through 8 format because Carolina is actually ahead of them. So, hey, I take that back. I take that back. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too that I didn't even get into. This team has not won 3 games in a row since November. Will they do it tomorrow? I don't know. I still think New Jersey's in a spot to where they're gonna make it. Like, I think they put themselves in a good enough spot earlier in the season to where they will, but it's definitely in question. It is definitely in question. I can't ignore that, but I still think they're gonna make it. If you were to ask me, because they were on a win streak before today, and yeah, it was not a good loss against Pittsburgh, but I think they were on a little bit of a win streak, if I'm not mistaken. There now, say they won. Yeah, they beat Edmonton, beat Columbus, beat Philly. Not necessarily. I mean, Philly and Columbus not necessarily the greatest, but still. The worst is the third division winner in baseball. Imagine winning your division and you have to play the wild card. That's why alignment. Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, what is the reward for winning the division? It's always the central teams too, because usually the other divisions aren't bad enough. At least in the NL. I mean, the AL sometimes it will be the West, but stupid. Yeah, I agree with you guys saying though that New Jersey will not beat Carolina, but I think they're going to make it. I just think that they put themselves in a good enough spot earlier in the season to where they can make it. And let me see their schedule coming up too, because that will dictate a lot. I mean, they play Columbus next, which should be able to beat them. Calgary, they're a decent team. Ottawa on a heater, obviously. Vancouver, I mean Chicago though, Winnipeg and Minnesota, us, Boston, Pittsburgh. I mean, they have a really light schedule to end the season, though. Boston, Pittsburgh, Islanders, Boston, Red Wings. Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. They have a really light schedule going down the stretch here. I can't see them missing it. I just can't. But with that said, yeah, like Carolina will wipe the floor with them in the playoffs. Assuming that's the first round matchup. If they have to play in the wild card though, and they are going against Florida or whoever wins that division, which again probably Florida, they're gonna get they're gonna get rinsed at that point. Igor's played back to back 4 times and it's 4-0. Just play him. I agree there. Were any of them home road back to backs, or was it just home and home back to backs? I'm just curious there. But yeah, I mean, again, if he wants to prove that he's the $11.5 million man worthy of his money, put him in the net tomorrow. And then let Quick get the game on Tuesday. I agree. Here, let me see if I could find out. Because you found the stat there. I'd like to see if I could find if he's played. Yeah, I can't find. I can't find. Where'd you find his records of that though? 2022-23, Igor played on the road against Washington, at home against LA. Well, there you go. So they should do it if that's the case, but I don't know. I mean, they have to though. Like Quick gets torched by Edmonton. Yeah, I agree with this. What would be my dream off-season move for the team to make me smile like I did when they got rid of Truba? I don't know at this particular moment because really the way that I will smile like I did then is if they play the patient game and land an Eichel or McDavid if they hit the market in that next off season. That was a game they played with only 4 D men too. The Kane cap gymnastics. That's right. Yeah. Now I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, this would get me to smile in the off season. This would absolutely get me to smile in the off season if they canned Chris Drury in the off season. That would help because the 3 guys he got at the deadline in suit and ties in the biggest game of the season. Wonderful job. Really good job there. If the Rangers win tomorrow, they will be just 4 points behind New Jersey for third place. Yeah. With a game in hand there too. But we will see. When did we say he will? I'm just curious. Nobody said he will. This too. I mean, I couldn't even give me a full day to enjoy it and digest that it happened. I mean, yeah, put him in net tomorrow. If he's not in goal tomorrow, I agree with what Carson said before, so they have to. I don't know about this one entirely, but I mean, I will say legit the only move that I could give him credit for is getting rid of Truba's full salary, but then again, the same day he took it and gave Igor the contract he did. So it's like there's a catch. There always is. And I agree with what you guys are saying in the chat about Kako. I stand by that too, that it just was not going to work here ever. It wasn't. And they should have moved him earlier. It just was never going to work here. Good for him if he found a home. It just wasn't happening here. I mean, that I can't give him credit for because that was another GM willingly taking Goudreau's contract. So I don't know how much I could credit him for that one. I'm glad he got rid of him and was cutthroat to put him on waivers, but I can't necessarily give him full credit there because it's not like he actively traded him in it or anything, but yeah. This is the thing, like, we can't do revisionist history with, with Taco. Alright, I've gave you a chance, but I've had enough. I've just had enough with it. Sorry. S I've gave that guy chances, and it just instead whatever. But yeah, we can't play revisionist history here. It just was not going to work here. It just was not. Yeah. I mean, that is true. That is entirely true. Yeah, that's where I stand, Brody. 100%. How many goals does Heedle score on us next weekend? Probably a hat trick. Probably a hat trick. Yeah, I know they're on a point streak right now. All right. I'm going to wrap up the stream here, guys. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live, and I'll see you guys in the next one.